All right, folks, how you doing? Earner Income back today, middle of the week, looking like a good week so far, and hope you all had a blast. And we are going to talk about something that you might have not seen come across your radar. That is palm oil. Why do we even give a crap about palm oil? Well, there's a shortage most likely about to happen or predicted to happen, and it's got a little bit of an impact on you. So what is palm oil to start off? I'm going to leave links to everything I'm about to send you because I'm not an expert in this, but it's also not super difficult to get a basic understanding, but it might be a little difficult to get a more, sophisticated understanding. So palm oil, edible vegetable oil from some kind of plant, I'm guessing. And the biggest thing is that this thing is used in food manufacturing, beauty products, and sometimes biofuel, mainly in food manufacturing. Huge deal with food manufacturing and the food you're most likely consuming. What is it? I think the best way here is it's kind of used as a cheap substitute for butter or hydrogenated vegetable oils. It's used in making pastry dough, baked goods, and all that type of stuff. It also, I think, is reported that, it's used in nearly 50% of all packaged products in supermarkets. And let's see if there's anything else. So like cooking oil, instant noodles, snacks, baked goods, and all that type of stuff is kind of reliant on it. So what's the big deal? We're the biggest exporter of Indonesia is most likely going to be putting a ban on this product, palm oil. And you're wondering why would they put a ban on it? It's because they're running out of it too. Let's see if I could find where in this article instead of just scrolling, but in particular, they're saying that there's a little concern they're not going to have enough for their own people if they keep exporting it out to everyone else making money. So they're going to try and kind of keep it under control so that their own people can utilize it as well instead of having an internal crisis, rather than causing a little bit of a shock to the global world, so to say. So yeah, they said Indonesians have had trouble getting access to kitchen staples as palm oil prices surged and all that. They're worried that the rising of prices, I guess, in palm oil is become a huge factor internally. And of course, when do you have rising prices? It's when high demand, low supply. So they're saying rather than having high prices in our own country because we're not having enough for our own people, we're going to keep it in our country, kind of help increase the supply, fulfill the demand, and thus also causing less supply in the global market, causing more demand in the global market and higher prices. And that is true because as we've seen, palm oil markets spiked at least 10%, I believe. This article will say the same thing, a little bit more on the futures contract in particular. But I think this one from MSN right here, which is taking it from CNN, gives a good outline as to what the deal is. The biggest thing to know is that palm oil is in your food. It's a huge staple with groceries, with supermarkets and all that. And when a main exporter of it is not going to be produced or giving it back out, it's going to be a little tough for our markets. I think in particular, who's the biggest consumers of this palm oil? Well, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and China. I think the US is somewhere in the 6.04 million, others for sure. But as we know, China is a huge producer for the global world, including the United States. So how this is going to impact what America is obtaining from China would be interesting as well. Not necessarily that we export food, but I think some of those costs carry over, that if it's more expensive for China to obtain certain things, they might carry it over to the United States somehow. That might be a stretch, but it's definitely going to see a difference in the palm oil prices. And when the thing that is used for your food or your food is reliant on raises in prices, the food in particular is going to rise in prices as well. So we have palm oil right here, and we could see the futures contracts have just been surging, continuing to surge and all that, and they still are. So what's the big deal? Well, it's like I said, in palm oil, if it's used in a lot of your food and there's going to be less of it, most likely that means the food that's reliant on it, there's going to be less of as well. And if demand is still high for that type of food and the supply is low, there's going to be a higher cost to purchase your food. AKA, if you're purchasing more packaged food and all their packaged groceries or groceries that rely on this palm oil, and there isn't enough palm oil to help, partake in being an ingredient in those groceries, that means most likely those groceries, same as what I just said, the groceries that you're reliant on that are also reliant on palm oil, there's either going to be less of or higher prices for, or probably a combination of both because you're missing a main ingredient. It's hard to make a cake when you don't have flour, so to say. So if the price of flour is all of a sudden increasing, the price of that cake is increasing as well because of a staple in it. So that's kind of the idea. When one ingredient of your food is in a supply shock or a higher price, it has a reverberation to the overall food as well. I guess that cake example is the best way to phrase it. And I'll rephrase it right now. That if you're looking to purchase a whole cake, you go to Whole Foods or wherever grocery store, you like the chocolate cake, but the price of flour for that cake becomes more expensive. So in a way that there's either not enough flour or it's a pretty high price. What's going to happen is they're either going to try and make a flourless cake, but if you like your cake with flour, they're going to say the whole cake is going to rise in price because one ingredient is going up, decreasing the margin on it, or they're just not going to offer the cake because it's too expensive to make. They don't see enough return on it. It'll be the same as groceries. If palm oil is that intricate, they're either going to raise the price because it's going to be more expensive to obtain one ingredient necessary for the item or the food, or the food itself that's reliant on it, they might not be providing anymore because they can't obtain the palm oil for it, so to say. So this is the palm oil futures contract. This is going to impact food. I don't know in particular which foods, because the numbers have been pretty broad. Like it's using 50% of food and all that. So I'll leave this Wikipedia page. I haven't had much time to go over it, and you can take a look at what it's used and what kind of food and all that. You can do a little more research. If you're interested to kind of find a way to track food prices, I think the best way I've been able to look at it, and we'll check out the Google machine right now. How do you track food prices without having to get like a fancy chart or anything like that? Let's see. The Bloomberg Commodity Index is something that tracks all indexes here and all commodities, I should say. And let's see if I can. Yeah, so let's see, what is the USCI? I think it was okay, there we go. The United States Commodity Index Fund. All right, and all right. We'll take a look. Nope. Go back here. The USCI quote. So the United States Commodity Index Fund is exactly what it sounds like. It's a tracker of all commodities. Some of those commodities are foods. You'd have orange juice, soybeans, wheat, corn, cacao, cattle, milk, and all. It's all packaged into this. Now it also includes other commodities like metals, aka gold and silver, oil as well, those type of things. So it's not simply just food, but it's all commodities. But it's a good idea of what the general direction of your food most likely is going to be going in. Again, it's pretty tough because it includes everything, but I would say this is the best way to kind of figure out what is the direction of my groceries going to be looking like. It's not going to give you the exact quote like this 58.19. It's not going to be like, all right, for every 5 pounds of food, I'm going to be spending $58.19 because of this index fund tracking it. It's more so a general direction that you can see that, if we go like 1 month, prices have been kind of going up. 6 months, they've definitely been going up. So you can see that most likely your groceries are going to continue going up because it's in a steady upward movement, as opposed to when we looked at between 2011, 2020, food prices, the commodity index fund went down, maybe food prices were a little bit more stable, so to say. I don't think prices have ever gone down, but they were more stable. Let's see if there's any food index funds, and okay, there's a couple. There's a PBJ, and I'll take a look at them right now with you. So we got the PBJ, the FTXG. PBJ is funny, peanut butter and jelly sandwich. All right. So this fund, I think, is simply dynamic food and beverage. It'll give you a better idea of, even a sharper idea than the commodity index fund of where your food prices are going. FTXG, let's see. Looks pretty similar as well. So I would say any of these, I'll leave these in there in the description for you to kind of take a look at. You can Google and see, but I would say these might be, this Invesco Dynamic Leisure and Entertainment one is not going to be it. Probably look for anything with food and beverage or consumer staples. Those make sense. Yeah. So I will leave a link to those, but what does it mean to you? It means that we might be seeing more shocks to groceries and this increase in prices of them. I think if you are someone who's reliant on packaged goods, because that's what I saw in the articles, that 50% of packaged items and groceries are using palm oil, those might be tough. And I am, by the way, I'm a consumer of packaged goods. I love I love my desserts. So, I'm not here to judge anybody, but it's going to be tough. Needless to say, there's no breaks. It might be even a rockier road. So, hate to break the bad news, but that's something to keep an eye on. I'll leave all the information in the description. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all got something out of this, and I'll catch you later this week.